And that's when I realized that my numbers had definitely been altered, because I went through and I blocked everybody on my following list on just TikTok. Because remember, I had put all my focus really on TikTok at that time, because content and just my experience with that application, understanding how to navigate it, and most of my content was tailored to that application. I deleted all of them except Derek. And it was still showing my number at 344. So my number said 344, but then I only had one following. I only had one person following me, and I don't think I was following him anymore at that point, but I had just him. And it still said 344. Again, I still, it's very hard to believe that somebody that you care so much about would be a part of something like this. And I think that's kind of what they count on. I'm not sure. It just would make no sense to me that he would take part in something like this. But it also was like, be for real with yourself. When you don't have toxic anything in your life, it's like, okay, well, I didn't have anything like this happening to me before you came into my life. And not be you, but core, we're both kind of introverted extroverts. We have very similar spirits, but just how we show up in the world is a little bit different. And because of the nature of my purpose, because of the way that I'm called to serve God and spiritually, it's very difficult for me to, be around large crowds and that party environment and stuff like that. But I think that's the case for a lot of men. If you're a business owner or a leader, or you're doing in the physical world, you're gonna, men are meant to lead in the physical world. So they're gonna have more of a networking type of needing to be present in certain things. And so I understood that, but you're also exposing yourself to a lot of different energy that I wasn't exposing myself to. And again, it doesn't make me better than worse than him, but I really was just sort of through the process of elimination. Where the heck is this energy coming from? I truly had no idea. I was like, I don't understand. I don't have enemies. I don't have any drama in my life whatsoever. I just went through this whole thing with my ex, but I was actively working on our communication. I had actually had a couple of really good conversations with him and his wife, and we were still butting heads on some things, but even that, I was trying to be exceptionally patient with him and really trying to go the extra mile, even though he wasn't doing the family therapy that he had agreed to. Just looking for gratitude, even if we got through one basic form of communication, if we had anything that we had to get through, whether it was scheduling something or planning, making any kind of modification to schedules or anything like that. Anytime we would get through anything without any kind of trouble, I was like, yes, God. One time we had a really good conversation, me, him, and Shelby. I sent Shelby flowers afterwards because I was so grateful that we were able to have what I felt like was a breakthrough. Keep in mind, my intention was always to be a traveling minister. And so that is okay, well, I have to stay focused on that intention, and what do I have to do to get there? And, working on my communication with my son's dad and his wife were, a priority, because I wouldn't even feel comfortable leaving my son, even if it wasn't for long periods of time, but just me being away purpose. If my son wasn't with me, you just want to have that open dialogue where you know that you're in communication. He's going to keep you in the loop if anything is going on or anything. And so that was my main priority, which again made this whole situation extremely blindsiding, because it would appear as though him and his wife were doing a very great job to conceal that was actually never their intention. And it would appear that directly after he did not get the result he wanted the first time in family court, that he started strategizing and plotting on a way that he could be more successful with the ending that he wanted, that would be more permanent for me, directly after that court case. Maybe all I can do is let people know the full story from my perspective and align with truth and integrity, and hope that they do the same. Give them an opportunity to speak the truth about why they have done what they've done. I think I did message Derek around the time that I saw, where I went through and I blocked people, and I saw that there definitely was some alterations to my social platforms. At least, again, I focus mainly on TikTok, but then I just continued to become more vigilant, and then looking for other avenues as to ways of I could deal with this situation, because you just really don't know what to do when these people won't stop. I definitely had already messaged. I messaged, which I have screenshots of this, of how many times I messaged TikTok. I messaged, ByteDance. I messaged Cash App. I messaged, all of the social platforms. I made reports on everything. And even in my reports, I was I would let them know, this is the 6th time, this is the 7th time. I'm going to take legal action if this is not dealt with. My privacy is being violated here. My content is being stolen. I'm a licensed business owner. This is everything. My intellectual property is copyrighted. They can't be taking this. I have documented. I'm going to include it in all of the evidence that I have here. That's why it's so crazy that these people would do this, without any justification or any kind of legal binding. I have no connection to any of these people. It's how could you do this? How could an entire group of people be so stupid to take such wild action towards someone who they don't even know? That's how entitled these people are. Crazy lunatic walking around, white knuckling the shit out of my identity. Who Lord only knows if they're scamming people using my image. Who knows what the hell they're doing? Like I said, they stole the license plate off my car. So you don't even know what they're doing. But I don't even know who these people are. That's the thing. And they want it that way so they can stay hidden, torturing you. It's sick as hell. But then it's even sicker when law enforcement isn't doing anything about it. And then they have the audacity to be surprised when a Christian minister gets killed. That's how you know everything's a show. Everything's an illusion. If you actually cared about Christians, you would be protecting them, not putting on a show after they're dead. And this isn't directed at anybody specifically before anybody gets, their panties in a bunch or comes for me because they're triggered. It's just the truth. I'm just telling you the truth of what it is. I've been somebody who's always been in support of law enforcement. I've always been somebody who acknowledged the work that they do and the courage that it takes at every level, and the military too. It's just crazy to me. I've raised my children to respect law enforcement, and it's just wild to me that they could literally not care at all. And then in the same breath, a part of law enforcement and the FBI and stuff like that, when I see things that are happening on social media, and it's I want to believe what you're saying. I mean, how long are people supposed to remain hopeful? This has been going on in my life for 2 years. I've been reporting this. Like I said, I've been to the FBI 4 different times. It's if I were to disappear right now, if they were able to take me out, nobody would ever know. They could just completely erase me if they were successful. That's sick. And that's what leads me to believe it's maybe it's not the overall FBI, but I can tell you about the massive level of injustice that's happening here locally, because nobody should have to go to the FBI 4 times to say, I'm being blocked, I've been put in a digital cage, they're committing fraud and identity theft. Here, let me show you the pictures. I'm a business owner and a Christian minister, and I'm being targeted in a wicked, historical level hate crime. Can you do something? Can you possibly investigate and get back to me? Can you let me know that I'm protected? Can you make sure that I have access to the resources that I need to continue to protect and be safe in my life? But no, they didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. Even when I said what the family court was trying to do, when I went to try to speak to them about how my ex is now using the family court, I was concerned he potentially could be involved here. Well, they don't work with each other, those 2 different type of systems. Well, yes, I understand that. And so do criminals. They understand. That's why they go through the family court system, to commit crimes, to commit extortion, to get illegal court orders. That's why attorneys like my exes feel so confident being witches, corrupt, and evil and taking bribes, being a part of extorting good people. And it's not just mothers, it's fathers too. It's whoever offers them enough money for them to commit perjury and use their position of power to use their license to practice law in a way to harm innocent people. Yeah, that happens in family court, and I am aware the same thing might not happen in a criminal or civil court. And the FBI doesn't, communicate. But maybe you should. But I'm here telling you. Like, I'm like out here doing all the footwork of the investigation. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm making this very easy on you. Here, let me show you everything I have. And these officers don't even have enough respect for me as a Christian minister to sit down and interview me correctly and take a look at everything I have. Like, they want to stand on the other side of a fence with their sunglasses on while being eaten alive with mosquitoes. Like, that's the level of respect that you're shown when your tax dollars are paying for this. It's shocking to me. Shocking. And it isn't something that, like, I appreciate having to talk about. Anybody who is put into the position that I am particularly enjoys being one person having to call out the fact that the Federal Bureau of Investigations in Cleveland, Ohio isn't doing their job in protecting you. I would love to be one of those people that receives justice. I wish I could be honoring them for helping me. I wish I could be honoring Derek for protecting me or my family. Nobody wants to be the one. What it truly means to be set apart. It's very easy to say you're protected by God, you have divine protection, you're a Christian leader, very beloved by God and all of this, and people get even jealous of that. And it's very easy to monetize God's name. But when it comes down to what it looks like to actually be set apart by God, what it actually means to be a chosen one is when you are one and there are 99 and God is chasing after you and protecting you. When you are set apart from the corruption and the evil and you have to stand strong in integrity and courage as a woman, even when they're attempting to use your children to hurt you, even when your 10-year-old perfectly innocent little boy is being tortured daily by monsters, trying to break his faith and take out his mom. It's not easy when every platform I make to speak out gets canceled by some asshole on the other side of the screen who by some way has a job where they're given permission to have controls to cancel people, or people that work within a school or a hospital or a housing authority, a children and family services department or family court, a clerk. It's not easy to be the one woman who has to encounter all of these people who are making fun of you, laughing at you because you're a victim of a crime. And they don't want to do their jobs because it's much easier for them to just collect that money underneath the table to stay silent. It's not easy to be the good person who is trying to protect your children alone when the people who are actually employed are not doing their jobs, when they're employed through taxpayer dollars to protect people and they're not doing that. When people at CPS and the family court system are paid to advocate for families and children and victims, and these very networks and systems, you should have your law degree stripped from you. You should never be able to work a government job again. And by the time this is all said and done, and the initiative, and once actual chosen ones do join forces, I'm sure this will be one of the things that we make a huge change in. And also making sure that legally, people who commit fraud and corruption within these systems are charged criminally. I don't care if it took 200 people to commit fraud, then they should all be charged criminally. I don't understand why this is so hard for our government to get right. Is it that hard to charge people criminally that work within government agencies that commit fraud to steal from taxpayers? There's victims here, and I'm one of them, that is still alive, asking for help.